Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Your Wednesday staples are coming your way. What If Wednesday's coming at you in 30 minutes. Incidentally, if you've got a what if you'd like to throw at us and you're not in the Bayou Ford chat, you can text us 225-499-1045 and we can get to those coming up in 30 minutes. We'll have Koki Riley from Hoover, Alabama at the top of hour number 2, straight up 2 o'clock. Massey Seat Baseball Power Rankings, last edition. And we're going to go back and see what they looked like right off the top. So we'll see how that exercise goes coming up here in an hour and a half. LSU's got another baseball game to play tonight. That's good. We'll talk about it in 15 minutes. Vanderbilt in Florida underway from Hoover in the second game of the day. Missouri played its part in the SEC tournament. Got run ruled today because that's generally what Missouri does in the SEC tournament and a lot of games they play in general. So they're done. Mississippi State moving on. The Linkus brothers were really good today. Tomas good on the mound and Vitas very, very good in the batter's box. Hit a couple home runs in one inning. If y'all are not familiar with these brothers, I realize I'm going off on a tangent here in the first segment of the show, but whatever. It's nearly summertime. Tomas Valinkus pronounces his name Tomas Valinkus. His brother, Vitas Valencius, pronounces it Vitas Valencius. They have the same last name, same family, same mom, same dad, pronounce it differently. How does that happen? I don't know. Valinkus, Valencius, whatever. They both played well today. Mississippi State won a ball game over Missouri. So again, Florida 2, Vanderbilt nothing in the bottom of the first inning there. In the second game of the day from Hoover. Let's talk about last night. We'll do it with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
You feel that? That's a pulse. They still got one for another few hours at least. LSU gets a win in Hoover last night into the wee hours of Wednesday morning, I should say. Tigers beat Oklahoma 6-2. Inauspicious start. I'm sitting here about to watch the game, setting up my workstation to take notes and get the story written. I get a text. Hey, it's like William Schmidt's not pitching. I was like, oh, really? That's great. So for the second time this season, an LSU pitcher scratched just moments before the game is set to begin. Back flared up on William Schmidt. Jay Johnson said he told us he couldn't pitch, and William Schmidt could not pitch. So LSU at that point has to go from what has been the plan now for multiple days. You held William Schmidt over the weekend with the understanding that he was going to try to get you off to a good start in the SEC tournament, a one that you have to win. He couldn't do it. So Grant Fontenot comes in, and Grant Fontenot did a great job. LSU pitching last night did a great job. They held Oklahoma to 2 runs on 6 hits, and one of the runs was a classic LSU defensive meltdown run. So really, you look at the job that Grant Fontenot, Gavin Guidry, and Devin Sheeran did last night. It was exceptional in a year where LSU pitching has been anything but exceptional. It's been terrible most of the year. It was very good last night. LSU got off to a good start with Fontenot. Derek Curiel does what he does in the third inning. Slices a single into left field, plated a run on an error by the left fielder. Omar Cerna was moving on the pitch. It was just a gorgeous bit of execution in terms of baseball. Cerna's moving on the pitch. Curiel smokes it to left field. Cerna freezes to see where it is, then gets the good read on it, goes. The left fielder makes a misplay. Josh Jordan puts the windmill on, and you plate the first run. Then, obviously, Oklahoma stripes back. They get 3 hits in the bottom of the third inning to not the score. And in the fourth, as I mentioned, LSU just did its meltdown thing. That's just kind of what LSU has done most of the year. You feel like you did a good job pitching in the inning, but you give up a run because Stephen Milo makes an error in the hole. Then the runner steals second. You challenge it, and they say, no, he stole the base. Then you get a strikeout, but the ball goes behind the catcher, Aaron Beatty. And then Brock advances to third. He comes home because Aaron Beatty throws the ball to first base in an instance where he has no chance to get the runner out. bad decision, bad throw. Runner shouldn't have been on base in the first place. Wild pitch, the whole thing. And all of a sudden, Oklahoma takes the lead. But LSU's offense was pretty good against some solid Oklahoma pitching. I mean, they did put their best guy on the mound in the middle innings. And LSU didn't bash the ball over the yard by any stretch of the imagination, but you did hang a 3-spot in the 5th inning. Curiel was right there involved in that as well. His double scored Mason Braun. And then you had Milam reach on the fielder's choice, which got thrown away, and you were able to bring in 2 runs. Unfortunately, one of those runs was Omar Cerna, who slid into the catcher and ripped his hand apart. So no word from Hoover just yet on Omar Cerna. I will ask Koki in 55 minutes if he's heard anything from LSU. He's there in Hoover, but it did not look good at all. It appears to me that he'll be perfectly fine for next baseball season. As far as the rest of this week goes, I don't know if he broke his hand. I don't know if he just has a severe laceration. I don't know how many stitches he got, if he got any stitches. I don't know what the extent of it was, but you all saw it if you were watching the game. It looked really gruesome sliding into home plate. He kind of got with it enough to touch the base and then just ran off the field and went down the tunnel. Like, it was very clear that there was something significantly wrong there. So I think a lot of people felt like they heard folks in the dugout say, oh, it's broken. Who knows if it's just dislocated? I'm not here to tell you what's wrong with Omar Cerna's hand, but it certainly did not look good. I was glad to see that he didn't go to the hospital or anything. He was there at the Hoover Met and had that hand in a bandage. He was there in the dugout. So we'll see. I doubt we see him again the rest of the weekend, but that's just time we'll have to tell, and we'll see how long LSU actually stays there. But Milam had knocked in that run, and then he homered with the big 2-run swing in the 8th inning as Devin Sheeran was mowing down Oklahoma, and doing so with some choice language there for the Sooners, which, look, the guy's fired up. He hadn't had the finish to the season that he wanted. Jay Johnson talked about that on the SEC Network set last night. Said, look, Sheeran came to me after the Florida series, like, why am I not getting guys out? And they kind of went to work, and he was really good last night. I thought that his line score was indicative of the dominance that he displayed in the game. So for the ball game, 3 1/3 innings of 1-hit baseball, no runs, 6 strikeouts, no walks. He threw 47 pitches and 34 of them were for strikes. Thought he did an awesome job. Gavin Guidry deserves a big hat tip there. We know it's been a rough go at times for Guidry, especially with the long ball. But 3 1/3 innings when LSU had to have it, 2 hits and 1 run, it was not earned. He had 6 strikeouts and only 2 walks. And when he did have to leave the ball game, Sheeran came in the 6th inning with the bases loaded and got that pop-up on the first pitch he threw to kind of extinguish the biggest threat that Oklahoma put on. So I thought LSU did a good job last night. Was it perfect? No, I wouldn't. I'd prefer that Milam not make the error. I'd prefer that Aaron Beatty not make a bad decision or a bad throw. I would prefer that William Schmidt was ready to go. But it was a game where LSU played better, and I thought the matchup was okay. Now, I thought that was with William Schmidt, but I don't think much of this Oklahoma team. I haven't really since the 3rd week of SEC play. And when they beat Texas A&M in the opener and they beat LSU at the box when we thought that was an impressive accomplishment, I was like, okay, maybe this team's better than I think, but I watched them and I don't think they're great. They're not great, and they're not going to win a regional. So LSU dispatches them, and they'll move on to take on Auburn. We'll talk about that. And one of the hot button issues from last night, obviously, was the ABS system. And I don't have a great answer, because it feels like you have to paint yourself into one of 2 corners. One of the corners is, I'm okay if the umpires miss calls. That's a corner you can stand in. Human error keeps the game moving, but they're going to miss calls. The other piece to it is you get what you get last night, where Milam's stealing. It's a full count pitch. Okay, we think it's a walk. Well, Stephen Milam stops. Well, now it wasn't a walk because it's a strike, but did he steal the base? Well, now it's a subjective call, and you have to count on everybody to play as if it was a strikeout instead of a walk, and that doesn't work. And that's not something I had considered. I've watched the Cubs a lot this year with the ABS system, and I have not run into that issue. But it's one of those deals with unintended consequences. Your sole focus with ABS is, hey, let's make sure the balls and strikes are right. And sometimes they miss egregious pitches, and you want to get that right, obviously, huh? But you've got unintended consequences, which is, well, if we have a determining play that is then taken back and is no longer that determination, what does that mean for the rest of the play? It's not perfect. So you're either okay with the bad calls, or you're okay with awkward rules interpretations where you may have a situation where you're trying to steal a base and guys react differently based on the call at the plate, and then we've got a different set of circumstances, and that's not great. I'll tell you this. The strike zone they're using for ABS is too big. I understand the premise. When my 4-year-old gets to player pitch for the first time, if we tighten that zone up to the plate, we're going to have issues throwing strikes with the 10-year-olds. I get it. And it continually works its way up for there. If you call the strike zone in Major League Baseball the same way you do in high school, well, you're going to have high schoolers struggling to throw strikes because they're not very good. And that graduates to college. But the other piece to this is the college guys are still throwing 98. The college guys are still throwing snapdragon breaking balls. They still got plus changeups. And if we're given extra inches off the plate up and down, like it's really difficult on the hitters. Now, if you tighten that strike zone, we may have way too many walks. My sense on this is we should not have a subjective strike zone once you get to the college level. That is where I'm willing to cut it off. You're talking about multi-million-dollar coaches. You're talking about a massive enterprise in the Southeastern Conference. You're talking about a College World Series at Omaha. It's just more resources, bigger stakes, better players than high school. And so I don't want to use the greater percentage of the body height, which they are in this instance, on college than the pros, than the MLB guys. The strike zone is the plate, and let's use the MLB strike zone if we're going to use ABS. Like that's what I think they should do. I'm not one of these guys that's always said, I don't care if you miss calls, just be consistent with the zone. No, get the zone right. We got rules here. I'm not okay if a guy just continues to call it 4 inches off the plate outside. Like, y'all, the most famous example for LSU fans is Caleb Gilbert in Omaha against Oregon State. If you don't recall that, pull it up on YouTube tonight. It's a 4-minute watch. You'll see. He was living 4 inches off the plate. Not like right on the black, 4 inches off the plate. And the umpire was just ringing him up. And you can hear some people say, well, he's consistent. And I would suggest that Oregon State should have started to swing when they struck out 6 times on balls that were off the plate away. But that still doesn't make the umpire right. That means the umpire's doing a bad job. Glad he did. Thrilled he did. LSU beat maybe the best team they've ever played in Omaha because of that. Well, with help from that. Papierski hitting homers from both sides of the plate helped too. But get the zone right. And this zone they're using for ABS is too big. And it's I don't like that part of it. But I don't have strong takes on whether you should or should not use it. I want to see a little bit more. But that situation last night was obviously a complication here that I don't think is being administered properly. And I don't have an answer for it. But it's a wrench in the game. You're talking about 90 feet here that can be a big, big deal. Not the end of the world in Hoover because most of the teams left aren't playing for a lot. But you do that in Omaha, problem. So we'll see. LSU and Auburn tonight at 8 o'clock. I'll talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Gotro's Outdoor Power. Gotro's Outdoor Power. It is grass growing season. That rain's falling. That weather is warming up. And that means you got to cut that grass. Gotro's can get you behind the wheel of a zero-turn mower for $100 a month. It's a family-owned and operated business. They've been at it 22 years. That's why you should do business with them. Not just because it's family-owned and operated, although doing business with local folks is always something that we endorse, but because the customer service that you get from someone in your community that's able to see you face-to-face, have a relationship with you, that's important. And that's why they do business the way they do at Gotro's. When I say family-owned and operated, don't misconstrue that as a small business. They're the National Hustler Deal of the Year 2 of the last 3 years. They've got the largest hustler inventory in the state, largest parts inventory in the state. So if you need a zero-turn mower, you can get one from the big box stores. I wouldn't recommend it. You may never hear from them again. That will never be the case at Gotro's Outdoor Power. You can find them at 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and, of course, in Gonzales as well. It's Gotro's Outdoor Power. They're online at gotrosonline.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
We go ahead and knock out 2 birds with 1 stone here. We got a new text line here at 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. You can send us a text at 225-499-1045. And you can do that on 2 fronts. 1, we got What If Wednesday coming up in 15 minutes. If you've got a what if for me, you want to fire it in, you're not on the Value 4 chat, you can do it at 225-499-1045. The other thing you can do is text Swing Easy to 225-499-1045. Swing Easy Golf Club here in Baton Rouge. League play is cranking up. If you'd like a chance to win your way into the league, you can do it through us here at 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're going to take 2 listeners. You will partner up with the partner of your choice, and y'all will play against each other in a scramble format at Swing Easy Golf Club. I may pick the course. We'll see if it's Pebble. We'll see if it's where they give away those green jackets. Maybe TBC Louisiana, someplace that you may have played. But we'll play a scramble format. You can win your way into the league. If you're interested in that, text Swing Easy, one word, Swing Easy, to 225-499-1045. You also invite you to get on by there this holiday weekend. If the rain comes, that doesn't mean you can't play golf. You can head over to Swing Easy to get your 18 holes in, hang out, get some drinks, get some tunes cranked in there, and just enjoy some time, even if the weather is a little bit crummy, which it may be this weekend in the capital city. Swing Easy Golf Club on Segan at Perkins, swingeasygcbr.com. All right, let's move forward to LSU and Auburn tonight. As I mentioned in the first segment, as I mentioned yesterday, I like LSU's matchup with Oklahoma. This is a little bit more than that. Auburn is better than Oklahoma. I think significantly better than Oklahoma. You're talking about a team on the Plains that is 38-16 on the season. They went 17-13 in SEC play, and they won series against Arkansas, Florida, A&M, and Mississippi State. Those are 4 loud series wins for Butch Thompson's team. I do not believe they have more work to do for a top 8 national seed. Their RPI is 3. They've won 15 Q1 games. They have not lost a single game against Q3 or Q4, and their strength of schedule is 1. That is a top 8 seed to me. You get 10 runs tonight by LSU, your top 8 seed. I don't know how Butch Thompson feels about it. I don't know how the selection committee feels about it. I look at Auburn, I see a top 8 seed for sure. Either way, they are throwing the race tonight. Jake Marciano will get the baseball tonight. He's on a day short rest. He threw Thursday of last week in the series opener against Georgia, threw 102 pitches in that game. He got off to an incredible start to this season, Marciano did. He, in his first 9 outings, he allowed 7 earned runs. In the 6 outings, most recently, 16 earned runs. He has been hit a little bit more recently, but he throws a lot of strikes, only 16 walks on the season. Now 7 of them have come in the last 3 weeks, but only 16 walks on the season, and he gets a lot of strikeouts. The curious thing about Marciano is that he gets a lot of strikeouts without being a big-time stuff guy. His fastball oftentimes sits at like 88, 89 miles an hour. But one thing I've been fascinated in doing some watching of him last night and this morning, and then having seen him this year pitch, because he's Auburn's ace and I've watched him pitch a little bit, he throws his fastball a ton for a guy that has an 88, 89 mile an hour fastball. He is not afraid to challenge guys on the hands, to challenge guys up in the zone. He feels comfortable throwing that 89 mile an hour fastball up there, and he gets outs with it. He's got a very sweepy breaking ball that's got a lot of horizontal movement on it, and he's got like a humpback curveball that'll throw in there as well. He's good, though. He's really good. He locked up Arkansas earlier this year. He's done a great job, and that's who LSU will see first. The indication that Butch Thompson gave local Auburn media yesterday is that Marciano is looking at about 75 pitches. Now, you do, if you're LSU, and your motivation is greater than Auburn's at this game, you do want to get him out of the game as quickly as you possibly can. If you can get him into a long inning, maybe make Butch Thompson think, this is my ace, I need him next week, like let's chill out, that'd be a good thing. But if you do let Marciano go 5 2/3, 6 2/3 innings on those 75 pitches, they only need to go to the bullpen once, because Jackson Sanders has been exceptional for them out of the bullpen, and he is very much in that mold of Griffin Herring, of Chase Shores at the end of last year, not in terms of stuff, in terms of his role. He will absolutely finish a 4-inning save. He will absolutely get a 3-inning save. He's done it a lot of this year. He was a starter to begin the year. They put him in the bullpen. He's still stretched out. He got a 3-inning save against A&M. He got a 4-inning save against Arkansas. He'll go 70 pitches, not really a problem at all. He's got 80 strikeouts in 58 innings this year, so he's very good. So what LSU is very likely looking at is a pair of left-handers tonight. Jake Marciano and then Jackson Sanders. Both left-handers. They can go 9 innings between them pretty easily. That's maybe Butch Thompson's plan here. So that's what you're looking at, is a pair of tough left-handers. For LSU in the pitching department, what do you have left? Well, you got no William Schmidt. He's not pitching tonight. You got no Grant Fontenot. You got no Gavin Guidry. You got no Devin Sheeran. You got no Cooper Moore. You got what I believe the most likely starting candidates are Kason Evans, Marcos Paz, and Zach Cowan. Cowan threw 60 pitches on Saturday as a starter. He's had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to rest, 3 full days rest. I think he's available. He's a good bounce-back arm for LSU. So those are the guys I would imagine will be first. Santiago Garcia, Danny Lockenmeyer, and then one wild card name is Reagan Ricken. Remember, Reagan Ricken pitched great against Florida on Thursday night of this week. 4 1/3 innings, struck out 5, didn't walk anybody. He did a really nice job in a tough circumstance where you weren't starting Evans in the weekend and you didn't have Schmidt. So Ricken had a really good outing in his last time. Now, he's been known to go out there in those midweek games and not get out of the first inning. But the last outing was good. So if you feel like there's a hot hand situation, you could go with him. Whoever LSU throws out there in this game tonight is going to have to navigate a good offense. Now, it hasn't been elite for a lot of the year. I'll give you the numbers. So Auburn in SEC games only. So this is only the 30 league games, not non-conference. SEC games only. 5th in batting average in the conference. 6th in doubles. And the fewest strikeouts. Those are the strengths. Batting average, doubles, they don't strike out. The things that are not as high in the SEC standings, 10th in runs, 12th in homers, 13th in walks, and then 7th in stolen bases, which is middle of the pack. So you're looking at an Auburn offense that hits the ball hard, hits a lot of singles and doubles, doesn't strike out, and scores runs that way. Now, don't be fooled. It's not as if this is a team that doesn't have high-end talent. Bub Terrell is super talented. He's got 15 homers on the year. Chase Fralick has 13 homers and 15 doubles. Chris Rembert is one of the best sophomores in the country. He plays second base for him, hitting .349, 10 steals. It's a deep lineup that's lengthy without maybe the first-team All-American. Like, they had a couple guys, like Ike Irish was a star last year. They're more balanced this year throughout the lineup, but it's a good lineup. And I think Jay Johnson would like to get 9 outs out of Kason Evans, maybe. Would like to get maybe 6 out of Garcia, 6 out of Paz. You're talking about, that's 7 innings that I've just gotten you through. And then you kind of play it by ear at that point. Maybe Cowan's good to go. Maybe you need a left-hander, so Lockenmeyer's available. It's all hands on deck. I was thinking about this early today. It is a negative. What I'm about to say is absolutely a negative. But I can spin it as kind of a positive, and I'm going to try. LSU doesn't really have a go-to starter or reliever. Now, that's a negative. I'd like to have a true ace that I could pencil in for 7 innings, a 2-run ball with 10 strikeouts. LSU doesn't have that. I'd like to have Griffin Herring, whose ERA is under 2 and is consistently going 9 outs of dominant baseball. But I don't have that either. But to spin it on its head, I can say, it doesn't really matter who you've burned. They're all kind of the same. You tell me what the difference is between Santiago Garcia and Danny Lockenmeyer. You tell me what the difference between Gavin Guidry and Zach Cowan is. You tell me what's the big difference between Devin Sheeran and Marcos Paz. Sometimes those guys are good. Sometimes they're terrible. And so you've got enough humans down there, and they're all kind of the same. So in the real world, what I'm saying out loud is they don't really have the pitching to do this. But in the spin zone world, bizarro world, blind optimism world, nothing to lose world, it's like, well, like I just gave you 6 guys that are ready to pitch tonight. You get a day off tomorrow, so what's the big deal? You can't discern who's really much better than the other guy. I would rather have Devin Sheeran out there than Maverick Rizzi. Sure, absolutely. The difference there is that Rizzi throws a lot more balls than Sheeran. But they're both big, tall guys, throw 97 miles an hour and strike a lot of guys out. Maybe one day Maverick Rizzi's got great stuff. One day he can't throw it in the ballpark. But LSU's got a lot of guys they're going to throw out there. And the bottom line, once again, like I said yesterday, is you're going to have to hit. And you're facing 2 good left-handers today, probably. I'm imagining that that's what Auburn's going to do. I know for a fact that they're planning on starting Marciano, but Jackson Sanders is who I expect to see in the game, whether or not LSU's winning or losing, because there is no tomorrow. So I think you'll see him out there. You're going to have to beat 2 really good dudes, and you're going to have to do it without one of your best hitters. But Milam is red hot again in the summer. Curiel swung it phenomenal last night, hitting the ball hard the other way. Braun's an on-base machine. You trust Aaron Beatty potentially to put a big charge into one. You got some guys. I don't expect a ton from William Patrick. I don't expect a ton from Jack Rucker. I don't expect a ton at this point from Chris Stanfield, who just hadn't been healthy all year. But you got some guys out there that have swung the bats pretty well. You've scored a lot of runs in recent games. You're going to have to go do that again. Because thinking you're going to hold Auburn to the 2 that you held Oklahoma to last night is probably wishful thinking. Yeah, Auburn doesn't hit a lot of homers. Yeah, the Hoover Met is spacious. Jay Johnson talked about how the park actually plays fair instead of the bandboxes that LSU is playing in a lot in conference play. And the box is included in that in May. But you're going to have to hit because Auburn's going to score some runs tonight. And they got their ace on the mound. Don't think it's an advantageous matchup for LSU, but they did make it to today. Truth be told, if you want to know how I really feel, I don't think this gets truly interesting unless you make it to Saturday. If you make it to Saturday, you can do something crazy. But right now, you're submerged in water looking up at the surface. You can't even see it. You win tonight, you're getting close. You win on Friday, okay, now let's talk. You have your head above water, and you're looking to try to get on land. Right now, you're drowning. There's no two ways about it. Get to Saturday, it's interesting. It's not quite interesting yet, but I'll be locked in and watching. Let's hope LSU can keep that season going for at least 2 more days. Reminder, if they do win tonight at 8 o'clock or shortly thereafter, they will get a day off tomorrow, and they will play Friday against Texas A&M. So we'll see. We're trucking right along here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Rules. They're on Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. Text us what ifs, 225-499-1045. We'll read the best 4 What If Wednesday next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com. Lifetimeroofingla.com is that website. Look, storm season is around the corner. Maybe you don't feel like you need a new roof. You don't have any leaking issues that you know of. The roof's a little bit older, but you don't see it discolored. It's not giving you problems. But you're a little bit nervous what a storm might do. Well, they don't have to put a new roof on. They can at Lifetime Roofing, but they can come over and they can do a tune-up to reinforce that roof so you feel like you've got more peace of mind as storm season approaches. It's just part of our life down here in South Louisiana. We know storm season can be rough. We've had a couple of quiet ones in a row. I hope there's 10 more to come just like it. But I think we all know that that's unlikely. If you want to take care of that big investment, which is your house, take care of the people under your roof, which is the most important thing in your life, and want to make sure that your roof is in the best shape it can be to do that, Lifetime Roofing is a company you can trust. They're Baton Rouge-based, Louisiana people, give you a lifetime workmanship warranty. It's Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
My friend David Duvall, One Bath and Closets, online at onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com. Tub to shower conversion can be a really, really efficient and effective way to transform your bathroom. It's not time encompassing. It's not invasive into your home. David says a tub to shower conversion can be done oftentimes in 3 to 5 days. And if you have a tub that you don't use or it's not working properly, or you got one of those big 90s jacuzzi style tubs that takes up a ton of space and you never get in it, well, turn that space into a walk-in shower. It's transformative. Can add value to your home as well. You won't know unless you ask David Duvall. Have that free consultation. Just sit down with David, chat about what he can do for you. They do have financing available, 0% up to 18 months. So go to onebathandclosets.com and get that consultation. You'll be able to see the pictures of their great work. You'll see the satisfied clients who have left reviews. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. Been at it for 35 years. Onebathandclosets.com. All right, let's get you scoreboard. Florida 3, Vanderbilt nothing, but a couple Gators on there as they play on in the bottom of the 3rd inning from Hoover. In the early game, Mississippi State took care of business, run-ruled Missouri in 7, so they will be moving on to Thursday's action. Florida and Vanderbilt trying to do the same. Florida out to an early lead there, 3-0. Vanderbilt has to win the SEC tournament to continue their season on. Florida, I believe, has a host already locked up, but they're playing towards that top 8 national seed if they can make a real big run here. So we'll see. Keep you updated on those scores as we move forward. It is What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, so this is from the text line. What if LSU defense is top 5? Top 3 in the SEC?
If they're top 3 in the SEC, they've got a real good chance to make the playoff. I mean, I feel like your offense should be pretty good. You got to see what the quarterback is like, what's his health like, and what's his performance like. How does Kiffin's new system translate? But it's always translated.
Yeah.
So I feel like it will. If they're top 3 in the SEC in defense, that's going to be a top 10 national defense. That's probably a playoff team.
You're going to mean business, and you're going to, especially because you're bringing back the same defense, you should expect them to kind of take that leap next year. So what if LSU baseball has another disappointing season next year?
This is a question I hate. I really like. I don't dislike the people. I don't know the people. I don't dislike them. I just bristle at the question. And so if you are one of the people who has said, well, next year looks like this, Jay's on the hot seat, like, why even saying that? Like, what's the point? They haven't done that. We're not there yet. It's just a hollow discussion. What if Georgia goes 4-8 the next 2 years in football? Like, we're not there. They're not doing that. So, like, you're not going to get a better coach than Jay Johnson.
Yeah.
The guy has shown up here, a program that had no pitching whatsoever, won a national championship in 2 years. He's pumping guys into the pro baseball by the truckload. His recruiting classes are 1 and 2 every single year. He knows how to work the portal. He's hungry. He's proven he can do it. He's won 2 national championships in 3 years. And I got people jumping on Tiger droppings and on my Twitter feed saying, hey, if next year's like this, like Jay's on the hot seat, I don't care. It's like, that's just such a ridiculous way to live your life. It drives me insane. Again, I'm not mad at you. I just think you're insane. I think you're insane. So you want to fire Jay Johnson and get who? Like who you're looking for? It's just it makes me bristle. And I think the people that say it, I think are proud. It's like, oh, I'm man enough to say if you have 2 bad seasons in a row, I don't care if you win national championships, we'll fire you. Like it's just nonsensical. I hate it.
Yeah, it is. Most definitely, because there's nobody else to replace Jay Johnson. So what if Jay
It's a stupid conversation. I'm mad I even spent a minute and a half on it.
So what if Jay Johnson would have hit the portal this season? Was there enough talent to go back-to-back?
I mean, they missed on some guys they really thought they had a chance to land. Landon Max had a good year in Tennessee starting rotation. They really felt like they had a good chance to land him. He came to the Super Regional last year and decided to go to Tennessee. They thought they had a really good chance to get Aiden Robbins, who is just crushing the ball in center field for Texas right now. There were some big-name guys that they were in on that they didn't get. And that's the case a lot of different times. They tried to get Ace Reese when he left Houston and ended up at Mississippi State. And that's just the nature of recruiting. But, yeah, I mean, it's very clear the guys you got out of the portal are not great. Zach York is completely healthy, and he's not playing. And Trent Caraway is healthy, and he's not playing. And Braden Simpson was healthy, and he wasn't playing. He played last night because you have so many injuries. Stoner gets hurt, and you got to swap things around. But you got guys that are not playing, and that's just the nature of it.
So what if LSU were to win the tournament? What regional would they be in?
Interesting. I mean, you'd be a 3 seed. You would be a 3 seed, probably a pretty strong 3 seed, I would think, because you would have 9 plus. You'd have 14 SEC wins on the sheet of paper, and you would have an RPI that would probably climb somewhere into the 40s if you win 5 in a row. So you'd be a pretty strong 3, but that doesn't matter as much because they are seeding 1 through 32, meaning they're seeding the 1s and they're putting the 2s in pods and matching them accordingly. So if you're the 16 seed, you're getting 17, 18, 19, or 20 in your regional. If you're the 1 seed, you are not getting 17, 18, 19, 20. You're getting somebody from 32, 31, 30, 29. So LSU would be in the 3 category. it'd be impossible to know, but there are options in LA for UCLA, option in Atlanta for Georgia Tech, option in Hattiesburg for Southern Miss. There are some options there. It's impossible to know, but there's a thought process there that I just went through. They'd probably be a 3. They'd be a high 3. It doesn't matter, though. Probably they'd be with a lower 2, so you're thinking somewhere, maybe Atlanta, Georgia Tech, one of the best teams in the country.
Your team you won LSU's your team, but the team, you're dark horse.
My guys.
So what if you overcook dinner?
I mean, there were 2 trains of thought in my house last night. Okay. I got creative with some food. Like, I didn't have a recipe. I always just follow recipes. And I was like, I'll just put this all in a sheet pan. I think it'll cook at the same time. We'll cook it 400 for 25 minutes. It should be good. Okay. Took it out. Potatoes were on point. Brussels sprouts were perfect. The beef was way overcooked.
Ooh, we talking like super chewy?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so I ate it. It was terrible, but I was like, this is what dinner is, so I ate it. Alyssa just looked at me and said, I'm going to eat that. So, like, I'm going to eat it, even if it's bad.
Yeah, cooked it.
Yeah, it cooked it. It's there. It's our pay. Like, but Alyssa was just like, I'm not dealing with that. That's awful. So live and learn. Overcooked the rosemary beef tips from Trader Joe's.
I just see you just chewing.
Yeah, it was terrible. They were awful.
All right, so this is from the YouTube chat. What if Milam slips in the draft? Can we really keep him around for another year in Baton Rouge?
The answer is yes. If this is a what-if scenario and he does slip in the draft, yes, you can keep him in Baton Rouge. I think Stephen Milam loves to play here. I think that LSU can make him a positive financial commitment for next year. Jay Johnson would make every effort to do that in whatever way that he can. But I just don't anticipate it happening. But if we're playing the what-if game, if he does slip in the draft, and that's all we're working off of here, absolutely, he could come back. I would not, here's what I'll say to leave it. I would not be shocked if Stephen Milam is LSU's shortstop next year. I would be surprised if he was LSU's shortstop. I would put him returning at a 25% clip, which is not nothing. That's a quarter.
It's something.
But it's not, the odds are against it, in my opinion.
All right, so that's it for What If Wednesday.
All right, What If Wednesday. Appreciate y'all for hitting us up on the text line. Appreciate y'all for hitting us up on the in the Bayou Ford chat. I'm looking through to make sure there's not another 10 threads on Hunt being started as we speak. Like, I've said a billion times, like, I check tire droppings probably a couple times a day just to see. A lot of times if something happens, somebody's talking about on tiger droppings. I don't know that I'm prying information from there every once in a while, but I do see, there's a thread on that. I didn't know that happened. Let me go look. Just part of the LSU ecosystem that we live in here. So I'm there. But I don't like when people tell me that we're going to fire Jay Johnson after they go 9-21 next year again. Well, they haven't gone 9-21, so why are we having that conversation? Just not great. Not my favorite thing. You're not going to get a better coach than him. He's awesome. He's about to go get some guys in the portal. LSU will be back. They've won 2 national championships in 3 years. Everybody calm down. Nobody handled LSU's poor season worse than me. Whiny baby for 3 months. Atrocious behavior by me. But let's be reasonable. All right, we'll come back and close out the hour next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Make sure the power doesn't go out on you. We're going to have some nasty storms blowing through Louisiana, all from the north to the south portion of the state. And you know when those happen, especially as the weather warms up, you can lose power. It's at the very least annoying. At the worst, it's debilitating for work and sleep. Make sure it doesn't happen. Boudreaux's Electrical can come out. They'll have a local team install that Generac home standby generator and make sure that your power does not go off. Evacuate from a storm. You want to come back to a dark, hot house with a ruined fridge and freezer. No. You want to come back to a house that's powered. Boudreaux's Electric can make that happen with that Generac home standby generator. Give them a call at 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, or 225-300-9389. That's 225-300-9389. You can do it the easy way. Find them online at boudreauxelectrical.com. That's Boudreaux's Electrical Services.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Our Wednesday shows are brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. And you can go there and fill out the contact us information for Joey Blanchard and his team, and they'll reach out to you, absolutely. But maybe a more efficient way to do things would be to just text Joey Blanchard, the owner of the company. Send him a text, 225, obviously, 252-7745. 225-252-7745. Just text Joey, hey, I need a pool. It's like, all right, I'll give you a call back. Still time to get in that pool. It doesn't have to be a long and arduous process. You sit down with Joey, you go through that consultation, you look at the design program that they've got. Maybe you have an idea what you want to do, maybe you don't, but either way, they can get you through that process, and you work with Joey every step of the way. Such a comforting thing to work with the owner of the company. He's there when they dig, he's there when they fill it, he's there when it's finished. Looking for an outdoor kitchen? Renaissance Homes and Pools can do it. Looking to build that forever home? Renaissance Homes and Pools can do it. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. Call or text Joey, 225-252-7745. Renaissance Homes and Pools. All right, lines are out for the National Football League schedule. Came out a week ago Thursday. And the Saints are not looked upon very favorably by the odds makers at this point in the calendar. They're favorites in 5 games. They are dogs in 12 games. And that's another reminder that I think, and this is certainly not unique to Saints fans. It's not unique to football. Like it's everybody all the time. You look at your team more favorably than those in the outside world. You just do. It's optimism season. Nobody's lost a game yet. Everybody feels like their organization's trending in the right direction. But the odds makers don't like the Saints. And the schedule opens with 2 brutal road games. And they're the biggest spreads on the Saints schedule. They're 7-point dogs in the opener against Detroit. They're 7.5-point dogs in week 2 at Baltimore. We talked about it when the schedule released. These are brutal games to open things. But then you've got to make hay because the Saints are favored in the next 2 against the Raiders and Falcons. And then you've got 3 straight lines where you are dogs, but by less than a field goal. 1.5 against the Vikings, 2.5 against the Giants, 2.5 against the Steelers before the bye. But as we told you when the schedule came out, there is a stretch there after the bye and a couple of home games against the Browns and Panthers, both of which you're favored in, where it gets nasty. In weeks 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, 5 straight weeks, you are dogs. That is the awful part of this schedule. At Chicago, at Cincinnati, home Packers, at Panthers, at Bucks. That is the spot where the Saints are going to have to hold on for dear life. And we said that when the schedule came out, but Vegas is reinforcing that. You go up to the cold weather in Soldier Field against a team that was a playoff team last year in the Bears, 6.5-point dog. It's a big line. You go play Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the Bengals on the road, 6.5-point line. The Packers are coming to your place, but the Packers are good. And the Packers are a 4.5-point choice over the Saints right now. You feel like you're better than Carolina. I get it. Vegas thinks a lot of teams are better than Carolina. The Panthers to this point are favored in 2 games, but one of them is against you. On the road at Carolina for New Orleans, you're looking at a spread of 1.5 for the Panthers. Sorry, I lied. Saints are favored in that game. At the Panthers, 2.5-point line. That's where the Panthers are favored. Flipped my Panthers on the schedule. But at the Panthers are favored. It's one of the games they're favored in all year. And then at the Bucks, they're favored by 3.5. So it's even more clear when Vegas chimes in than when I'm talking about it. Because I'm in this little black and gold bubble here. But yeah, you're probably going to start 0-2. It's likely. Not a lot, but it's likely. You better start to make hay in some of those home games and even across the pond when you take on the Steelers, and it's less than a field goal line. Because once you get on the other side of that bye and you've got those road trips coming, Vegas thinks it's going to get real bumpy for the Saints late November, early December. You want to have built up a little catalog of wins in your repertoire so that you have room to have some bumps in the middle of November, because once you get to the end, you've got manageable stuff. The biggest favorite the Saints are all year is in Week 16 when the Cardinals come to the Dome. 5.5 is that number. And then basically almost 2 pick'ems in 17-18. At Atlanta, you're only a 1.5 dog. And then home against Tampa, only a 1.5 dog. Now, that's not a pick'em. It is a 1.5. But it's close. So there's a stretch in there, late September into early October, where you got to make some things happen because there are very clearly defined roadblocks in this map. It's right out of the starting gate, and it's in late November and early December, and Vegas has put that out there. Ross Jackson has a tremendous piece at LouisianaSports.net about these Vegas odds. I'll give you what he said for the Saints. Favored in 5 games, dogs in 12. They're dogs in every game from week 11 to week 15, as he said. Biggest favorite, -5.5 against the Cardinals. Biggest dog, a touchdown and a hook, 7.5 at the Ravens in week 2. Incidentally, around the NFC South, the Falcons are favored in 2 games, dogs in 15. The Panthers are favored in 3 games, dogs in 14. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are favored in 9 games, dogs in 8. So Vegas likes Baker Mayfield and the boys. Likes the Saints better than the other 2 teams in the division, but doesn't like the Saints as much as you probably, driving around in your black and gold vehicle, do at this point. You think the Saints are better than 5-12. I would think that too, but they got to go out there and prove it and prove Vegas wrong. Want to get that over under and win total? You're looking at 6.5. Feel comfortable going over the top of that? Vegas will give you some action on that if you want to go check it out. Read all of our Saints content over at louisianasports.net. Again, that's louisianasports.net. Got a schedule release piece. And if you want to check out Saints coverage, it's all there under the Teams tab. Just click Saints, and you can access that 24/7. My Saints content at Hunt on Saints. That's Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcast, of course, on YouTube as well. Missed any of hour number 1, you can catch us on demand at Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your podcast. A lot of LSU talk. That's all at Hunt on LSU. A lot of football there, but also some other sports as well. We got plenty to do in hour number 2. LSU and Auburn tonight, late night at the Hoover Met in Hoover, Alabama. Koki Riley is there for the Advocate. We'll talk to him coming up in 5 minutes. LSU got a reaffirmed commitment in basketball yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that and the fit now. And we're going to revisit my SEC power rankings because I did those after a couple weeks of baseball. And now we got a whole season in the rearview mirror. How'd it look? We'll pause national headlines and Sports Center coming up. Back with hour 2 next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Go take a tour at Marucci. What a cool place that we've got here in Baton Rouge. Marucci is available to you to take a tour. It's available to you to work on your game. Tours first. You go see where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made. You go see where they make 1,200 of them every day. You go hear about the story of how 2 former big leaguers and their trainer started making bats in the backyard and started that process at the bottom and have gone all the way to the top. They make the best bats in the world right here in Baton Rouge. And you can see where they're made, where they're stained, where they're shipped off, and how it happened. You can also work on your game at Marucci. You got a youth baseball player, youth softball player under your roof, eating up with it, wants to get better. Well, become a member. Key card access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to the Marucci facility so you can practice swings, you can practice pitching. It's all there for you. Go see him online at maruccisports.com. What a gym here in Baton Rouge. That's, of course, Marucci.